suspects. Unfortunately, these terrorism suspects were arrested alongside one of the human rights defenders. When they were in custody, the revelations they made, when this man was released, he told us some of the things are actually true. How they would transport ballistic missiles, how they would organize, how they would get, you remember those testimonies, how they would get firearms from our neighbors. And when Kamwende told us, we just didn't believe him because we thought it was Kamwende. So Kamwende is lying to us. He is concocting stories. But trust me, at many of these scenes and some of these organizational frameworks for these latest wave of demonstrations, why are people talking about burning tires and carrying this and these guys to barricade these ones and these ones to stone cars that are going to work? And this information sometimes is available to the security agencies. And they also have a DTP, the duty to protect other Kenyans. I do agree where there is excessive use of force, where there is unjustified executions, then those have to be dealt with within the purview of law. But talk to our friends that demonstrations cannot achieve the ends that the elections cannot achieve.
Well, thank you, Omar. I think we'll hear one day. Did you want to say something, Co-Chair?
You can go first.
Yes, let me say this and start from where my friend Omar has left. Demonstrations, of course, are a way of expressing oneself and properly guaranteed under the Constitution and enabling laws. There's no doubt, really, regardless of the objective. But let me ask you, in your investigations, and I want to agree with you because actually what you said here corroborates to a very large extent the testimony of a government agency, IPOA, which were before us here yesterday, and they were seated there. Your evidence corroborates their testimony to a very large extent. But let me ask you, because we need to remain as objective as possible, in your investigations, did you come across evidence that the police killings, which have been documented, were a reaction to threats posed by the demonstrators, either the police themselves or any other citizens? Okay? And even in those circumstances, was the use of lethal force, including live bullets, justified? I want to ask another question, and very, very briefly. In your research, I'm sure you do research a lot, and you do in comparable jurisdictions. Under what circumstances can the police service deploy persons who are not uniformed and carrying military-style guns, actually assault rifles, not uniformed, carrying assault rifles, not wearing any protective gear, okay, to face demonstrators or a mob or a rioting mob? What would be the intention of such deployment if not to kill the mob? I hope you get me. That you are not uniformed, which means nobody can recognize you as a police officer. You are not having any protective gear, which means don't fear. You are not scared of any possible assault, and you are deployed into a crowd which is charged. Okay. Finally, is and I posed this question yesterday to IPOA, and they agreed that indeed it is possible for a private entity or person to undertake private prosecution. And this is clear, it's implicit under Article 157 of the Constitution. 157(6), the director of the DPP, rather, shall exercise state powers of prosecution and may, among other things, at B, take over and continue any criminal proceedings commenced in any court that have been instituted or undertaken by another person or authority, and so on and so forth. Of course, this implies that another person or authority other than the DPP can institute private prosecution. Because the case we faced yesterday was that the IPOA has forwarded numerous files against specific police officers whom they accuse of killing Kenyans during demonstrations, and yet those files are still lying at the DPP. Nobody knows what became of them, and nobody for sure knows when they shall ever be released or be acted upon. Is it possible that Amnesty International and related organizations or persons can exercise the right under the Constitution and the law to institute private prosecution against these culpable police officers? Thank you. I'll stop it at that.
Maybe just to say something, my name is Catherine. The demonstrators, as much as they have the right to demonstrate, let them keep off from school zones and know that the children have their right. That's what I wanted to say.
Yes.
Just the demonstrators or the police, because police also tear gassed innocent kids in school. In Westlands, actually.
That's a very valid point. If
Very,
we are
very
saying,
specific.
let us keep
The demonstrators.
police off school areas. Demonstrators also must keep off school areas.
Thank you,
I think it's-
Irungu Wheaton with your Amnesty International, and we thank you for the good work you're doing. At times, I like us to speak for posterity, because Hassan Omar was chair of Human Rights Commission. At the same time, I was chair of LSK. And when you speak for human rights, it's always good to speak that you